The National Electrical Code does not require an electrical outlet to be placed within 6 feet of any doorway in a single-family dwelling. However, there are specific requirements for receptacles in hallways. NEC 406.11 addresses the number and spacing of receptacles in habitable rooms, including hallways. Specifically, it states that at least one receptacle outlet shall be installed in every hallway with a length of more than 10 feet. NEC 210.52 further clarifies the requirements for receptacle outlets in hallways and corridors of dwelling units. It states that receptacle outlets shall be installed in hallways and corridors at intervals not exceeding 6 feet. In addition, when an unbroken wall space 6 feet or more in length is present, a receptacle outlet shall be installed within 3 feet of each end of the wall space. The measurement shall be made along the center line of the hallway or corridor length. To determine the number of receptacles required in a 20-foot hallway, you need to consider these code requirements. Firstly, since the hallway is longer than 10 feet, at least one receptacle is required. Secondly, because the hallway is 20 feet long, receptacles must be placed at intervals not exceeding 6 feet. Thirdly, an outlet should be placed within 3 feet of each end of the hallway. Applying these rules, we can calculate the necessary number of receptacles. One receptacle should be placed at one end of the hallway within 3 feet of the start. Another receptacle should be placed at the opposite end of the hallway, within 3 feet of the end. This leaves a remaining distance of 14 feet to cover. Since receptacles must be spaced no more than 6 feet apart, an additional receptacle is needed in the middle of the hallway. Therefore, for a 20-foot hallway, 3 receptacle outlets are required. One at each end of the hallway and one at the midpoint of the hallway, since it exceeds 10 feet in length. In summary, while there's no requirement for outlets near doorways, hallways longer than 10 feet necessitate at least one receptacle, and longer hallways require receptacles every 6 feet, with one within 3 feet of each end. Adhering to these NEC guidelines ensures safety and code compliance in residential electrical installations. When installing these receptacles, there are also height considerations to keep in mind. While the NEC doesn't specify an exact height for receptacle outlets in general areas, it's common practice to install them between 12 inches and 18 inches from the floor. This height provides accessibility while minimizing the risk of damage or obstruction. In areas with specific accessibility requirements, such as those governed by the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, different height regulations may apply. These regulations typically mandate receptacle outlets to be installed at a higher level to improve accessibility for individuals with disabilities. Additionally, the type of receptacle used should be appropriate for the location and intended use. In general living areas, standard 15 amps or 20 amps receptacles are commonly used. However, in areas prone to moisture, such as bathrooms or kitchens, ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI receptacles are required to protect against electrical shock. Furthermore, when installing receptacles, it's essential to follow all applicable safety precautions. This includes energizing the circuit before working on any electrical components, using properly insulated tools, and ensuring that all connections are made securely and correctly. It's also crucial to comply with all local electrical codes and regulations, which may vary depending on the jurisdiction. Failure to adhere to these safety measures can result in serious injury or property damage. Beyond the basic requirements for receptacle placement, there are several additional considerations that can enhance the functionality and convenience of electrical systems in residential dwellings. For example, consider the placement of receptacles in relation to furniture and other fixtures. Placing receptacles in easily accessible locations can minimize the need for extension cords and power strips, which can pose safety hazards and detract from the aesthetics of the space. Another factor to consider is the increasing demand for electrical power in modern homes due to the proliferation of electronic devices and appliances. To accommodate this demand, it may be necessary to install additional circuits and receptacles to prevent overloading existing circuits. This is particularly important in areas with high electrical loads such as kitchens, home offices, and entertainment centers. Furthermore, consider the use of smart receptacles, which offer features such as remote control, energy monitoring, and surge protection. These advanced receptacles can enhance the convenience, efficiency, and safety of electrical systems in residential dwellings. They can also be integrated into home automation systems, allowing for centralized control of lighting, appliances, and other electrical devices. In addition to these practical considerations, it's also important to stay informed about the latest developments and updates in electrical codes and regulations. The NEC is revised and updated every 3 years to reflect advancements in technology, changes in industry standards, and emerging safety concerns. By staying informed about these changes, you can ensure that your electrical installations are compliant with the latest requirements and best practices. In conclusion, while the NEC does not mandate outlets within 6 feet of doorways in single-family dwellings, it does provide specific guidelines for receptacle placement in hallways and other areas. By understanding and adhering to these guidelines, you can ensure the safety, functionality, and convenience of electrical systems in residential dwellings. Remember to consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. When planning receptacle placements, consider the intended use of the space. For instance, in a living room, you'll want to ensure receptacles are easily accessible for lamps, electronic devices, and charging stations. Think about furniture placement to avoid blocking outlets. In a bedroom, consider bedside receptacles for lamps, phone chargers, and other personal devices. In a kitchen, countertop receptacles are essential for small appliances, and they must be GFCI protected due to the proximity of water. The NEC specifies requirements for countertop receptacle placement to ensure no point along the countertop is more than 24 inches from a receptacle. Also, island and peninsula countertops have specific receptacle requirements. In a home office, plan for ample receptacles to accommodate computers, printers, and other office equipment. Consider dedicated circuits for high-powered devices to prevent overloading. In a garage, ensure you have receptacles for power tools, lighting, and potentially a vehicle charger. GFCI protection is typically required in garages as well. Outdoor receptacles are necessary for holiday lighting, power tools, and other outdoor equipment. These receptacles must be weatherproof and GFCI protected. When installing receptacles, always follow the manufacturer's instructions and use appropriate wiring methods. Use the correct wire gauge for the circuit amperage to prevent overheating and fire hazards. Ensure all connections are tight and secure to avoid loose connections, which can cause arcing and electrical problems. Grounding is critical for safety. Ensure all receptacles are properly grounded to protect against electrical shock. Test all receptacles after installation to verify they are working correctly and are properly grounded. Consider future needs when planning receptacle placements. Anticipate potential changes in furniture arrangement or technology to avoid the need for extension cords or future electrical work. Also, consider adding extra receptacles in areas where you anticipate future electrical needs. This can save time and money in the long run. Regularly inspect receptacles for damage or wear. Replace any damaged or worn receptacles to prevent electrical hazards. Look for cracks, loose connections, or signs of overheating. Educate yourself and your family about electrical safety. Teach children about the dangers of electricity and how to use electrical devices safely. Use tamper-resistant receptacles to prevent children from inserting objects into the slots. Use surge protectors to protect electronic devices from power surges. Surge protectors can prevent damage to sensitive electronics caused by lightning strikes or other electrical disturbances. Unplug electronic devices when not in use to conserve energy and reduce the risk of electrical hazards. This is especially important during thunderstorms or when you are away from home for extended periods. Consider installing arc fault circuit interrupters or FSIs in your home. FSIs are designed to detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires. They can provide an extra layer of protection against electrical hazards. Hire a qualified electrician for any electrical work you are not comfortable doing yourself. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to have it done by someone who is trained and experienced. An electrician can ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. They can also help you with planning receptacle placements and selecting the right types of receptacles for your needs. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may be local codes and regulations that apply to receptacle installations. Check with your local building department to ensure that you are in compliance with all applicable codes. Local codes may have additional requirements for receptacle spacing, height, or type. They may also require permits for certain types of electrical work. Proper receptacle placement is an important aspect of electrical safety and convenience. By following the NEC guidelines, local codes, and best practices, you can ensure that your home has a safe and functional electrical system. Remember to prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work you are unsure about. Consider the aesthetic impact of receptacle placement. While functionality is important, you also want the receptacles to blend in with the decor and not be an eyesore. Coordinate receptacle colors with wall colors or use paintable receptacles that can be matched to the walls. In kitchens, consider under cabinet receptacles to keep countertops clutter-free. These receptacles are mounted under the upper cabinets and provide a convenient way to plug in small appliances without taking up valuable countertop space. For media centers, use recessed receptacles to hide cords and cables. These receptacles are installed in a recessed box behind the wall, allowing you to run cords and cables through the wall and keep them out of sight. Consider using USB receptacles to charge mobile devices. These receptacles have built-in USB ports, eliminating the need for bulky adapters. They are especially useful in bedrooms, living rooms, and home offices. For older homes, consider upgrading existing 2-prong receptacles to 3-prong receptacles with grounding. This will improve safety and allow you to use modern appliances that require a ground connection. If you are not able to run a ground wire, you can use a GFCI receptacle as a temporary solution. However, it is always best to have a proper ground connection. Consider using tamper-resistant receptacles, or TRRs, throughout your home. TRR have a built-in safety mechanism that prevents children from inserting objects into the slots. They are required in new construction and are a good way to improve safety in older homes. Regularly test your GFCI receptacles to ensure they are working properly. Press the test button on the receptacle. If the receptacle does not trip, it needs to be replaced. GFCI receptacles should be tested monthly. Use cord management solutions to keep cords and cables organized and out of the way. This will prevent tripping hazards and improve the appearance of your home. There are many different types of cord management solutions available, such as cable ties, cord covers, and cable organizers. Consider using power strips with surge protection to protect electronic devices from power surges. Power strips provide multiple outlets and surge protection in one convenient device. They are especially useful for media centers and home offices. When using power strips, do not overload them. Overloading a power strip can cause it to overheat and start a fire. Consider using smart home technology to control receptacles and lighting. Smart home technology allows you to control electrical devices remotely using a smartphone or other device. This can be useful for turning off lights when you are away from home or for controlling appliances from your bed. When planning receptacle placements, think about the future. What types of devices will you be using in the future? Will you need more receptacles? Will you need higher amperage receptacles? By planning ahead, you can ensure that your home will be able to meet your electrical needs for many years to come. Consult with a qualified electrician for any questions or concerns about receptacle placements or electrical safety. An electrician can provide valuable advice and guidance to help you make informed decisions. Remember, electrical safety is always the top priority. Do not hesitate to seek professional help if you are unsure about anything.